How did you come across, precision golf?
So one of my mates who I do CrossFit with, he had a fit in here, and he just mentioned it because obviously I'm a member at Fullwell there, and I was like, I'm sure James would say I'm obviously been away, so as a sort of treat to myself, I was like, well, I'll go and get a proper fit in.
Yeah.
I got given these clubs probably 12 years ago.
Okay.
So I've never had a proper fit in, never really had anyone kind of go, what do you think about this, what do you think about that? So
yeah.
I was like, do you know what, as a little treat, I'll go get some new irons.
Fantastic, brilliant. How much kind of golf are you typically playing?
So while we were away, I was playing every week, so once a week. Now, because of the winter, probably trying to play once a weekish. I'm off to Portugal in 2 weeks,
yeah.
a few rounds.
Yeah.
But then in the summer I'll play a little bit more, but just all depends on work.
Yeah, okay.
So I play enough.
Yeah.
I'm not looking for the best of the best, but just these clubs are weak in terms of the degree compared to
the loft.
The modern day clubs. So just probably an upgrade.
Yeah.
So just come and have a go, see what happens.
Perfect. Brilliant. All right, what we'll do is we'll get you warmed up first, so feel free to grab whatever you feel comfortable with hitting. I'll let you get going.
None.
And then what I'll do is I'll take some readings with the rest of them, and I'll just measure them out. And then when you're feeling warm, Carl, we'll get going, basically.
Cool.
But feel free to have a drink of your coffee and get yourself sorted out. What do you do work-wise?
I'm a professional rugby referee.
Okay. Is that quite a lot of travel with that then, is it?
Yeah, so I've just been in France for 2 months.
Yeah.
Obviously over there. But I used to play professional rugby.
Yeah.
So I've kind of gone from refereeing to
professional
rugby into refereeing. So I get a little bit of time to whack a few balls here and there. We were lucky enough to play some nice courses while we were in France, which was
nice,
lovely.
Okay, brilliant. Whereabouts were you based?
So we're based in Paris. So we played like the Golf National, Paris International, all these sort of courses, which were really, really nice. Which, again, you don't normally get to.
Yeah.
I'll try to see this.
How did you play around there?
I actually played really well. I mean,
rose to the occasion. Yeah, it is a tough.
It's more the fact that if you're not straight, the light rough is semi-rough because your ball sits down and then. So it was good. I mean, it was for free. Yeah. Got picked up, so it was like just a lot of the lads just playing. So it was actually quite nice.
Yeah, brilliant. I'll let you get whacking.
Whack a few. Yep, normal shape.
You let me know when you're feeling warm, Carl, and we'll...
I feel warm.
Yeah, perfect. Let's get cracking then. So just as you've been doing, just straight up the line for me. Just going to pop these down here, pop some Pro Vs down for you. Anywhere from that area there's fantastic, just so the TrackMan can see you. We'll hit half a dozen shots and then I'll go through the TrackMan data with you.
Yep.
And then we'll go from there. So let me just delete these for you. All right, good to go. You naturally right-handed, Carl? Yeah. Any injuries or anything to sort of report that I should know about?
I had shoulder reconstruction years and years ago, so just my mobility around
external rotation there.
Just is a problem.
Okay. Distance-wise, what would you typically expect, or what sort of distance are you pulling 6-iron out on the golf course?
6-iron would be 165, 170-ish.
Yep.
Ish.
Yep, that was 163. Carry.
Yeah, probably.
bit more neutral. Put that there.
That's the very back.
Yeah, just 2 more for me, please,
Okay.
Carl. Okay, nice strike again to finish with. Yeah, okay. Right, let's have a little look at the data. Have you been on a TrackMan before?
I've used a
launch
TrackMan a
monitor?
couple of times, yeah.
Yeah. If I could, if you don't mind standing on that side of the TrackMan, then the guys at home can see all the data. Okay, so I'll talk you through all the data.
Okay.
Anything you want to know, just stop me, Carl. We'll talk through it in a bit more detail. But these are all the digits that we'll be using today, effectively. So we've got all your ball data there, and then we've got all your club head data in terms of these columns here. So I'll explain what they all mean and the ones that we're looking to influence today, effectively. So we've got your club head speed here, so 86 miles an hour. So, you've got good speed. We're looking at PGA Tour average around 92 miles an hour at the moment with a 6-iron. So, you're at the upper end of sort of club head speed for amateur golfers, which is good. So then we're just going to try and translate that into the best ball speed we can possibly get. You can see here we had 2 strikes here at 117 miles an hour, and then a couple that were slightly lower, which obviously we're going to get from slight missed strikes, 114 and 113. So we averaged 112 overall, which is okay, but I mean, there's definitely more to get out of the club head speed for you. We could get it up into the region of about 120 today, I'd say would be where we'd want to be as an ideal average for you. Obviously, that's going to give you a bit more distance, a bit more penetration in the wind, etc. So we'll keep an eye on that. But yeah, 112 as an average. We'll see if we can get that to a nice sort of, if we're averaging sort of 118, that would be fantastic. 120 with our best strikes. This number here is something that we'll keep an eye on as we go through. Smash factor is an efficiency rating. It's measuring centerness of contact on the face, transfer of energy from club to ball, and then efficiency of our ball flight overall as well. It's having a maximum of 1.50, but we tend to see it lower than that with the irons because the element of spin that's involved in there. So with the correct spin, I'd be looking for an average of 1.40 would be nice where we'd want to be. So you can see they're at 1.29. The best strikes there, 1.34 and a 1.35. So they're good, they're fairly efficient, but there's a little bit more to be had again. So again, even with your best strikes, we're probably not getting absolutely everything we can do out of the club and the setup that we've currently got. So again, we'll keep an eye on that as we move forwards. Launch angle and spin, so you're at 69 and 6.4. So, I mean, again, based on your dynamics, because these two numbers will move around for golfers based on their dynamics, right? And what I mean by that is, if I get ahead of myself and we look at your angle of attack here, at minus 5.4, you're on the steeper side of where the PGA Tour average would be, right? So PGA Tour average is minus 4. Okay. Those guys do a really good job of obviously leaning the shaft and hitting down on it. When you do that, you tend to produce more spin. So I would say as an average for a spin now on modern day 6-irons, around 5,000 to 5,500 RPMs is where I'm looking for based on the golfer, their idyllic sort of flight, and also the shot shape that they play. So naturally a fade always carries a bit more spin on it because of the dynamic of coming across it and hitting down on it. So I would say today you're probably going to be on the slightly higher side of spin as we go throughout the session, but 6.4 is definitely a little bit too high, and when you don't quite get it, we're at sort of 7, which is quite high.
Very high,
So where that's going to really work against you is when we're working in sort of windy conditions, or you're playing in windy conditions, or into a wind, for example. You're going to find that you lose excessive distance compared to maybe your playing companions. So certainly on that number there, I'll be looking for a setup where we can just drag a little bit of spin off of the ball potentially for you. Now, I say you might be on the higher side because of where your angle of attack is, but again, potentially as we change the balance and the weight of the shaft, that number might be influenced as well, potentially. At which point, if you become shallower, that'll influence that number naturally as well. But I would say Yeah, 16 to 17 degrees, but at a spin of about 5,500
Yep.
would be really nice. And then ball speed there,
120.
118 to 120, and we're fantastic.
The aim.
Ideally. Here we go. In terms of club path and face to path, so anything with a minus number on the TrackMan is left of target, and anything with a positive number is right. So club is traditionally moving 5.7 degrees left of target, and in relation to that, club face is open 5 degrees effectively. So it's a typical fade pattern. That relationship there is a bit more like what we want.
Yep.
And if we're looking to basically fade it back onto line, wherever this number is here, we want it to be halved for the face number. So let's say if we round that down to 5,
2.5.
2.5 is ideal if we can sort of match up that throughout the day, because I don't want to take the fade away from you.
Is that my coffee?
Yes, it is, yeah. I don't want to take the fade away from you so much, Carl. I just want to sort of just neutralise it a little bit so you don't see quite as much shape, basically.
I think you'd be struggling to take it away from me.
Yeah, well, again, but I'm not looking to, because obviously you're now so used to playing with it. I think if I gave you a 10-yard draw, you might stand on the first hole and think, oh, this is a bit strange seeing that shape. Now, it depends what you want to work towards ultimately, right? And if you say, well, actually, look, coach and I want to work more towards a draw shape, then I can help you with that. With the
I'd love to be able to hit a draw, because I can't do it.
Yeah.
So I'd love to be able to. Sometimes it miraculously happens out of fluke, and I don't really know what I've done. So, no, I'd love to be able to get a draw.
Yeah.
But
I think the ideal scenario from a club fitting perspective is I'm trying to give you something in hand that really works with you rather than against you, so to speak, in terms of weight and balance. And then you've got full control over the club. So you're swinging the club rather than the club swinging you, so to speak. If I can give you that, then that gives you the ability to work on hitting the draw. But, you know, the best players in the world now are playing with that sort of shape that you've got there. You know, you're looking at your John Rahms, etc. Faders of the ball. So just as a relationship, anywhere where this path number is, the face to be half of that would be in a nice area for us. And then interesting number here is dynamic loft. So this is the amount of loft that you are presenting to the ball at impact. I tend to use this number quite a lot when I'm fitting. I find on slightly higher side of flight 22, and on the lower side of flight it's generally about 20. So that's at 22. So that's telling me that the measured loft on your golf club, they're not actually that weak, your irons, in terms of the lofts on them. Is 27.5 degrees. So I could be around 27 to 26 degrees in terms of the loft, based on the way that you dynamically present the golf club. So we'll keep an eye on that, but 21 is probably the optimal number for you, if I could get to there. So, but that gives me an idea of where I need to go for loft, so to speak. As I say, the measured loft on your 6-arm is 27.5. So I don't need to go dramatically stronger or dramatically weaker than that. I think that's going to be the ballpark where we are today, pretty much, Carl. And then let's have a little look at dispersion. Again, you know, it's slightly left of target to right of target. This line here is 15 yards right of target. So it's more dispersion front to back. I think if we can improve
that's what I tend to have.
Like,
I don't have that consistent. I almost don't mind missing left or right if it's the similar distance. It's I can hit one day, I can hit, and you know, even yesterday I hit my 6-iron like 175 yards. And then earlier on in the day I hit about 160. So it's a massive disparity.
Correct, that's kind of what's killing the scores at the moment. Okay, so but other than that, in terms of left to right, 15 yards isn't huge in terms of left to right dispersion, really. And you can see that everything's obviously faded back onto that right-hand side. So we'll keep an eye on that. Obviously, again, if I can neutralise it for you, even better.
Fantastic.
Impact on the face.
Oh, okay, wow, so even...
Yeah, that's pretty good. It's a little bit high. We're probably looking really ideally for about 4th groove here. Anything higher than that, you're going to lose a little bit of energy. That's a little bit high, that one. A little bit high again. And then, okay, so interesting, contact's appearing to be a little bit high. It's telling me that the club's bottoming out a little bit too early. So again, it's just not quite getting ball turf. It's sort of almost...
Ball and turf at the same time.
It's a little bit almost like a drop kick at the moment, so to speak. So again, I'd like to just move that into here, and then we'll get a slightly different sort of compression on the golf ball.
And that's what I see with my divots. They're literally ball and...
at the same time. And then let me just show you where we need to get your numbers to be classed as optimal. So that's the last strike, which was your best strike, and you hit it 166. But based on your club head speed, your potential is at 175. So you're giving up about 10 yards now for the same amount of effort. And you can see here, this is where the numbers are, and they weren't bad. This was the best one that you produced. It was the most neutral. But your launching the spinner still a little bit on the high side, and your ball speed was a little bit low comparatively. So again, we're just going to try and just tidy that up a little bit for you. and try and get those numbers just sat into that area a little bit there. So yeah, so got some ideas. I don't know if there's anything you've seen you're interested in.
I haven't seen anything. I haven't
Yeah.
looked at anything. I kind of came here with a blank canvas.
Perfect. Best way to do it, I think. Okay, so let me just put some together for you and we'll
Happy
we'll
days.
get cracking. So did you mainly get into golf when you stopped playing professionally?
I played a little bit when I played, but like almost just to
Yeah.
go and hit the ball. Like,
Yeah.
but I was playing off 15, 16 at that point, and then
Yeah.
when I finished playing, I became a ref. I never joined a club, so I joined Fullwell probably 4 years ago.
Yeah.
4 years ago, and then I've kind of just played a little bit more now and tried
Yeah.
to. Again, I'm not trying to play off 1, 2, 3, anything like that, but my handicap is 9.5 now, and I'm kind of happy.
Yeah.
I'm happy where that is.
Yeah.
That gets me.
Have you good days? Have you bad days?
Yeah, like, you know, I played yesterday, shot
Yeah.
really well, shot 8 over,
Yeah.
really happy, 2 holes, I was 5 over on 2 holes.
Right.
So I was really happy the way I played, but just, the main reason was just purely because I was like, they're old, and I
Yeah.
was like,
There's got to be
just upgrade.
some more tech out there.
yeah, just
Yeah.
it might help me.
Let's talk about your irons in terms of how they sort of spec out and whatnot. So, I mean, the interesting thing was with them is, I say loft-wise, they're not particularly weak. Lie angle, they're standard, what we'd kind of expect, 61.5 is sort of a standard lie angle spec in the industry right now. Length-wise, they are 37.25 on your 6-iron, so they're about a quarter of an inch shorter than what would be men's standard length, or the standard length that we carry on the shelf, but again, based on the manufacturer, that's a pretty standard length as well. Now, one thing we're going to talk about here is swing weight. So swing weight is basically where the balance point is within the golf club, where the fulcrum point is. It's dictated by head weight, grip weight, shaft weight, and shaft balance as well. So there's multiple different factors go into it, and length, of course. Now, your clubs, you've got a standard set of Dynamic Gold S300s in there, quite a heavy shaft, and quite a stiff profile shaft as well. And traditionally the Dynamic Gold's more sort of mid to tip balance, so they make the head feel quite heavy comparatively. And I think what was happening is in the swing, it just looked to me like the club is constantly a little bit on the right hip, a little bit behind you, and then you have to sort of pull it through, and you pull it left. Now, because you're a strong upper body, because of your sporting background and then in the past in the sport that you've played, you can kind of get away with them.
Yeah.
But based on where your club head speed is and based on your dynamics, they're not optimal. So what happens is when you're just a little bit off with your timing, that's where that slight heavy strike comes from, because the club's just a little bit stuck, and then it just effectively you can't quite square it up and time it in time. So what I'm going to do first of all is drop a little bit of weight, not masses, but just definitely drop a little bit, probably more in line with where your club head speed is.
Yep.
And just change the balance a little bit. And then in terms of club head, actually going to marry it up. It's pretty close loft-wise to where you are, but the main thing you'll notice straight away is when I give you that is just the balance of it's going to be lighter.
Okay.
Yeah, it's not going to feel massively lighter as a unit, just the balance of it won't feel quite as much up this end as well. The other thing, looking at your set, is I noticed that a couple of the sort of the holes, the power holes, or the sockets as they would have called it, a couple of those have fallen out. Now, they have multiple different sort of purposes, but they also carry quite a bit of weight to them.
Okay.
So they've effectively changed the balance of your setup. So when we look at the swing weights here, you're sort of D1 in the 4-iron, D4 in the 5-iron, D4 in the 6-iron. You could do the 7-iron shortly, but then you go to a lighter swing weight of D3, C9, which is very light, and then D2, D2 into the wedges. So you've got like a fluctuating swing weight. Typically what we'd like to go here is sort of lighter to heavier as we go into the wedges effectively. So the trend should be sort of D1, D1.3, 1.6, 1.9, etc., etc., etc. So what you're going to get there is a fluctuation how the club's going to perform in hand. With the lighter swing weights, you might have a bit more tendency to pull the shots, and with the heavier swing weight, and more of a tendency to push. In relation to if you're putting the same swing dynamic on it now, you might have catered to that. You might know that you pull your 9-iron from time to time, and you sort of work around that, and that's what people do in their setups. If they're not familiar with swing weight, they sort of
just tinker your arm.
Exactly. They go, oh, I can't. Well, I always sort of pull my 8-iron, so I'll just hit it like this, and they sort of work around it, so to speak. But ideally, you don't want to be doing that. We just want to be putting the same motion all the time. But yeah, that was just one thing I noticed as I was sort of measuring them out. Is the 9-iron in particular was definitely a little bit lighter swing weight wise. That's that one there. And I did notice that the hole, the socket there. power bridge or whatever they call it from model to model had fallen out. So therefore that's become lighter as a head for you. So the tendency there might be to pull that or misstrike it a little bit more, basically.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, so again, just another reason for probably updating gear there,
Yeah,
just giving you something.
Yeah,
this actually, funny enough, as a model has a similar sort of technology, but I think they've worked on it from series to series to make that a bit more consistent so they don't fall out as much anymore. So head-wise, I've given you a TaylorMade P790 there, and then we've gone into a KBS Tour V, which is a lower spin shaft in the 110. And the swing weight there is D1 just to start with. So there's quite a bit of change there. I'll just put your tags in for you, Carl. Tour V, 110. And then that's D1. Cool. See what you think of that. You can also, the ball, you can just go a little bit left if you want as well, because there's like a little bit of a mini divot through there. So. All right, see how we go.
Standard.
That was a stronger.
That was a better one. I realised I pushed my shoulder slightly.
Didn't quite middle it, but it certainly in terms of the dynamics, squared the face up a bit easier there.
That was a better strike, I think.
That was better hit.
Yep, there we go.
That was nice, Carl.
That was a better one.
That's been the best strike so far.
Slightly.
In terms of ball speed.
Oh, it's a massive pull.
Let's just go one more with that, and then I'll just talk about what I'm sort of seeing here from behind. Good again. Okay, brilliant, thank you. So what's your feedback on that, just straight off the bat for me?
Feels lighter in terms of just the club in total feels lighter.
Yeah. Any easier anymore?
Yeah, I can feel like when I hit it nice, I knew I'd hit it nice.
Yeah.
Probably different to those, like I'm kind of hit it and like,
yeah.
Not sure, but I could almost, I don't know if it came out the middle or in a nicer spot, but you could feel that.
Sort of injection of speed and pace off
through,
of it, yeah.
Again, I don't know what the...
Yeah, I mean, so there was a couple of... I mean, yeah, I always take the first couple of swings with any new setup, especially when it's so different after something you've used for 12 years. I take it with a pinch of salt. So first two strikes really where they are what they are. I mean, they were slight missed strikes, but then I think we got going from the third swing, certainly that one there. And the numbers definitely started to look different, you know. So the launch is the same at 16. I wasn't looking to necessarily change that, but there's the spin number at 4.8. And there's a nice efficient ball speed. Now, I didn't even think that one was middle, although it looked pretty good there, but a little bit toe side in terms of 3 mils. But again, just because of where the dynamics are across it, we didn't get that maximal smash factor, but that's pretty good at 117. Yep. But that was nice and efficient as a sort of flight there. There's that dynamic loft number of sort of 20. So measured loft on this one is 26.5, so it's a little bit lower than where you are with the links. But again, just because of the shaft weight and balance, you're able to sort of square it up a little bit. And you can see from the flight there, it started left and it sort of faded back onto target line, which was lovely. And then that was the next one that you hit. This was even better hit again, which was that one there. So that was very much middle. And you can see that there's an injection of speed again there at 121. Again, lower spin, but in quite a nice window.
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
you know, 5,000 to 5.5 is going to be absolutely perfect for you today, I think. So 174, so there's that injection of sort of
10
carry
yards.
distance in there as well. Dynamic loft of 21, so that was fantastic. That one there is slight miss hit, and then the last one again, really well hit. Just, again, we squared it up a little bit. If anything, I'd say we need a little bit more weight down the bottom end. So
Okay.
I'd say D1 as a swing weight is probably a little bit too light for you.
Okay.
But I didn't feel like the base weight of the shaft was a million miles away at 110. And it definitely looked a lot easier for you to be able to square it up. You didn't look like you were having to sort of drag it through, so to speak. It looked a little bit more out in front of you, and you could become a bit more rotational.
No, it felt easier. Compared when I compared it to the two.
Yeah, that's sort of where we were. Obviously,
And you got the distance,
there's
the
the miss
outlier
here.
bit. The
There's the
distance is
free.
all in and around where you'd have. And again, I would use my 5-iron to hit it 175, 180, where
Yeah.
you can see the difference.
Yeah, well, you can see here again. That's the optimal based on your club head speed on that particular swing would be 173. That was a little bit quicker. You did move that at 88, so you moved that one a bit quicker there. And again, that is one of the benefits of dropping a little bit of shaft weight as well, as potentially we pick up club head speed, at which point we pick up additional distance. So that one, it wanted a little bit more there at 182, and that one there, 173. So certainly we're getting closer to where we should be. You know, that was probably my favourite of the shots, and you can see actually we've gone from spin being a little bit too high to being almost on that one a little bit too low.
And that was like the natural shot where it starts slightly left and cuts back in.
Yeah. Okay, so that was nice. And I just want to try that, but actually it's slightly different swing weight, if that's all right.
Yeah, of course.
Just look a little bit on the light side. I'll find some red tape. So I just want to add a couple of grams here, Carl, just to see how that reacts for you. Similar weight, just before I change the shaft up, because I thought that was quite promising just to start with. This is probably about as light as I would go for you, though.
Okay.
Because you've got quite a strong action and you sort of pull it across the ball. So I kind of anticipated we might go up in weight, but I didn't want to. I probably won't go down from 110. What I find typically for you guys who sort of you sort of tend to take it inside a little bit and then come it across that way. Actually, the weight helps sort of get the club dropping down into a more neutral plane when you've got a bit of shaft weight.
That's why I take it to the inside, and that's where I get the slight over, because when I come out, so if I get it into a normal position, I feel I get to the top, and then I drop it so much on the inside, like the club face almost ends up like that.
Yeah.
So I have to take it to the inside to almost get the club face. I just cannot.
Yeah.
And I'm a massive overswinger, and I know I've been an overswinger my whole. People have tried correcting me. I'm like, I can't do it.
It's obviously just for your body, the natural flow, what feels comfortable for you. So I'm adding on a couple of grams here to get it to D2 as a swing weight. So let me know if you can feel the difference in here as well. There we go. Thank you. Okie dokie.
I can feel that came out nicely.
Definitely just a little bit tidier on the timing there. Good swing. There's a good swing, that one. Yeah, that head weight definitely times better for you.
Yeah.
Lovely. Almost perfect, that one there.
Almost.
Great ball speed. Very nice again, good swing. Yeah, fantastic, Carl.
That felt better.
Okay, yeah, let me show you the numbers here. So, I mean, again, these are the little details that make such a difference in the clubs, you know. So we've added a couple of grams there, but it just looked like it timed nicely. It just looked a little bit light previously. Just needed to see a couple more swings just to make sure, but then that one there, just flipping it back in, it's amazing what a couple of grams can make in terms of the way it times. And all of a sudden, yeah, you can see there, comparatively, starting to really see that consistency now. And it just looked like you could do that sort of all day, which is fantastic. And from an optimization perspective, again, launch and spin in a nice area now, peak height in a good area. Again, a little bit quicker on the club head speed, so you can see that you're actually appreciating the lighter weight of the shaft, and we're starting to pick that up. So again, it's actually asking for you're at 123 ball speed, which would have been your best ball speed by 6 miles an hour, 7 miles an hour previously. It's asking for more now, which is good. Again, we might not get absolutely into the optimal ball speed zone today because of the fact that you're a failure of the ball.
That makes sense.
Again, closer again, that was lovely, fantastic. Again, that was your best ball speed there, and sort of launch and spin combination, and you got it to 180. And then that one there, fantastic. So really happy with that.
Yeah, really happy.
Really happy with that. What are your thoughts on that club head? Just so I know, just so moving forward.
Yeah, it felt good. Like, again, you can really feel when it almost, like, before I even saw it went, all right, I've struck that well. So it made sense in my head when I hit it. I went, yeah, that feels good, regardless of the. You can feel it's a little bit heavier than that.
Yeah.
And that probably.
Well, it's just balanced now, right?
Yeah,
so as I say, the dead weight of this is definitely heavy because we're talking about 128 grams here, shaft weight versus 110.
Yeah.
But now that I've added that weight down the bottom, the balance is different.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It just feels.
But actually, what's interesting, if you look at the heads, I mean, they're not hugely different there. A little bit more offset in the links. Yeah. But in terms of the blade length and the blade size and the top edge, they're pretty similar. Actually, pretty closely matched.
I agree.
PE790's been in the market now.
What's that? What's that? Is that Ping?
No, it's TaylorMade.
TaylorMade. Oh,
it's TaylorMade head, yeah, the P series. So it's been out on the market a good while now. Probably looking at 7-8 years.
Oh, okay.
Again, very successful. They've had a couple of different generations of it, but it's great for the golfer probably in your position where it's somebody who you're on the way down into single digits, but you want a powerful iron, and it's something that controls launch and spin very well. Okay. So good, still a forged head, so great feel as well up and down the bag. So that'd be a nice option. Let me try a couple of different shaft options, but I actually really like that. So that's the Tour V110 at D2. Okay. I thought that moved beautifully for you. So we've got that one in the bank, which is nice. I've got some different heads here, but I'll use this as my test head. Yeah. It's a little bit lighter, so it enables me to really control the swing weight quite nicely. When I use a head which is too heavy, obviously I can't take weight off of it, so it's a bit one-dimensional, but we could start at D1 there, you could see it looked a bit light, and then I could add.
To it. Yeah, no, it makes sense.
Okay, let's give this a go.
How come you use this 6-iron as a...
we just feel like it's the best reflection of the top and the bottom end of the bag. Okay. So if we were using sort of 7-irons and 8-irons, it doesn't have as much a relationship we've found of the 4-iron and the 5-irons, but 4-iron in particular, if that's going to be the top iron for you. But also just for the guys when they're building, it's the best head weight for us to use to sort of then progress the rest of the setup of it from a swing weight perspective. So a couple of different reasons for it, but I know if I can get you hitting 6-iron, then 5-iron, 4-iron are probably going to follow suit.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm going to just progress things a little bit more weight here. Balance is going to be a little bit different. Just drop that head weight off of it. But this is another Dynamic Gold shaft. This is the Dynamic Gold 120. So it's about 8 grams lighter than what you're coming from, 8 to 9 grams lighter. It's now D3 on the swing weight because it is a little bit more tip balanced. Same head. Nice swing, Carl. Good. Nice again. Good swing. What's your handicap again?
9.5. I mean,
I can see the pros now just finding Carl's mobile number to sign him up for Pro-Am teams as we speak.
Well, I'm always available for that.
Well, the last dispersion was pretty good, but that one might be
even better.
Even better again.
I mean,
yeah. So is when at the start of the session, when I'm watching you move it, and you naturally, I'm getting shaft options in my head come in and thinking, this was actually where my head went. I wanted to try something lighter just to see how you reacted to a much lighter weight at 110, but the 120 was the one that I thought that could be quite nice for you, just at a slightly lighter swing weight, D3, and I mean it's performed really nicely there. So let me just show you the comparison side by side. Let me get rid of the first one that I gave you, which was too light. Yeah, so the white is your dispersion, and again, as we know, we weren't quite getting as much out of it as we should have been in terms of ball speed and spin. The blue is pretty good, and then that's just gone into a different area altogether, that one there. That was really, really good. Let's have a little look at how the numbers are stacking up. So club head speed has actually come down a fraction. Again, I've added 10 grams in here, so to be expected, I guess. Ball speed, though, nice and efficient in relation. So smash factor, again, it's technically dropped, but you did have one that went slightly further with the Torvi, but that's not the be-all and end-all of a fitting. Ultimately, with the irons, I'm just looking for ultimate dispersion, right? So what I'm really looking for is actually how the spin numbers and the launches and the ball speeds related to each other. That one actually, funny enough, brought the spin down again, so it was at 4.7. Now that can sometimes be strike dependent, but I think for you, because of your shot shape, if I can bring the spin down and control that, it's probably preferable, because you're always going to have higher peak height anyway. So 16.3, so the launch hasn't really changed as we've gone through the session, but the spin's gone from 6.4 to 4.7 on that one there, massive, which is, again, strike dependent, and you've gone from 1.75, you're at 1.73 now, so you've picked up effectively what would be nearly 2 clubs on average. Angle of attack there, again, I did say, we're not always directly looking to influence swing line numbers, but if we can, then it's obviously ideal. So I mentioned about you being a little bit on the steep side and -4 being the PJ Tour average, so now you're at -3.7, so you're bang on. Club path there, interestingly, you're moving a little bit more left of it, but the face angle is actually under that number, so whereas these are quite closely matched there at 5.7 and 5.1, now that number is underneath it, so it's not fading as much, effectively. And then you're at 20 degrees of dynamic loft, so again, you just get into a stronger dynamic, so we're getting a bit more of a penetration in terms of flight, and I can handle that at 20, I don't mind that. But basically, because of where the weight and the balance is and that, you're able to pull it and get it into a stronger dynamic for me, which is preferable. Now, the guys at home might be thinking when they're watching this, well, I mean, technically, Nick, the numbers are better here in terms of, you know, smash is fractionally better, spins just above 5,000, that's where I wanted it. But how did that feel to swing compared to the other one? What would be the preference for you at the moment between the two of them as a golfer?
If I'm honest, I didn't feel too much difference. Again, I'm sure, was it 10 grams difference?
Yeah.
10 grams is
it's nothing
not
really.
Loads.
Yeah. It's a lot in golfing terms, though.
Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot. Like, again, 1% is all the rest of it.
Yeah.
I didn't feel much difference. Again, I guess it's the. I'm not looking to try and hit a 6-iron 200 yards or whatever. Like, for me, the consistency is probably the bigger driving force for me.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's going to be shots that I hit poorly.
Yeah.
But the consistency is the biggest thing.
Yeah. And I think that's the thing that I'm alluding to, watching it from behind down the line, and hopefully the guys, when they're watching the video, can see as well, is it just looked more consistent.
Yeah.
It looked like you could do it time after time, swing after swing. this looked better at D2, but then putting that in your hands, it just looked like, okay, he's just going to find that same rhythm and tempo with it. Balance looked in a slightly better place. For me, you know, I say, no, the spin's a little bit lower there, but you were getting into a much stronger dynamic. So actually, I could now remedy that by, I don't have to go into a club head which is quite as strong as the P790. We could step it back to something at 27 degrees. You know, opens up a few more options for me actually. Even though, so I prefer the shaft, but I could change the head up a little bit now. Okay. But I think that's in a really nice area. I really like that. Yeah,
no, I agree completely.
I really like that, and again, swing lines and swing numbers. That face to path number is a little bit lower now. I mean, again, I'm working towards 0 on both of those numbers. Don't want to get to 0 necessarily, but if I could get to 2 here and 1 here for you, that would be a nice little tour fade. It'd be perfect. You know, you could play that all day in, day out. Let me just run them through the optimizer for you, just to show you. So that was the first one, pretty good. Peak out there at 89. Bang on your distance. Again, you move that ever so slightly quicker there. It's the quickest swing of the day, but again, not far away from being absolutely perfect with it. Again, a little bit low on spin, but perfect. And pretty good. And let's just have a little look at impacts on the face. Yeah, pretty good. So that was your pattern there. One just slightly low on the head. That was your pattern with the. I mean, technically, the Tour V at D2 is numbers-wise maybe still the favourite, but I'd be interested with the 120 to put a different head on and see if we could get a different set of numbers out of it, to be honest with you. So let me just do that very quickly for you. I say we know the Tour V is good in that particular head, so we've got that as a combo to go back to.
Yep.
So I've got another head I'd like to try on that one. Okay, let's see what you think of that one for me, Carl. That's a Titleist T200.
Snappy. Not hit either of those very well.
Yeah, it's interesting seeing it swing second time round. It looked really good first time round, but actually it's starting to look a little bit head heavy now in terms of the balance. It's just getting a bit stuck and you're really pulling it through with that right wrist.
It's a better strike.
Yeah.
That's better. That was me, I think, more than the club. As in.
Oh, sorry, let me just throw that one out. I think there's a TaylorMade made its way in there. Slightly different ball. Last couple of swings were a bit better there, Carl.
Yeah, they're more. It's because I forgot to literally my club was here.
Okay.
So I kept bringing it round rather than I tend to have like a higher
handle.
Higher handle, just.
Yeah. Cool, it was a really good strike.
Yeah. A little bit.
A little bit pulled, but.
I'll do one more. Do one more.
First couple, which we just. If you just don't mind moving a little bit closer towards that white tee for me as well. Cool. Last two have really been
nice.
really been bulleted. Yeah, you can see there 1, 2, 3 on the ball speed, smash factor at 142. Definitely this head's given us a fraction more spin again on this shaft setup. Since you made that little adjustment to your hands, you've hit those much better there as well, haven't you?
They're going back to the normal.
Yeah,
That's
I got rid of the first couple because it didn't
'cause
sound like you were necessarily hitting them exactly how you wanted.
Oh, that was not the best one. Too quick.
Okay, thanks.
Done.
So how did that feel as a setup then?
I know it sounds really weird, but like when you look down at the head, it feels really thin. I don't know, so it didn't felt maybe a little bit lighter. I don't know if that's the case. I don't know if it is lighter. And optically just felt thinner. But again, it felt good.
Yeah. I mean, so swing weight's exactly the same. Shaft, obviously, the 120, exactly the same.
Maybe psychologically just felt
just
thinner,
because of the smaller head on it. Yeah, absolutely. And sometimes you can see that when you have a big, sort of bulky game improvement iron, sometimes people think they're heavy or clunky, sometimes the expression that customers use. But yeah, I mean, you hit 3 here, which are absolute just cannons right out the middle, numbers in a great area. And then these ones were a bit more back in sort of where we have been throughout the session, you know, less than perfect. That one there was a different ball, so I'll take him out because that was the reading was a missed one. But yeah, it's a slightly bigger dispersion, but actually these 3 strikes are pretty much where you could live now, based on your club head speeds, you know, based on sort of 87. That's where you should be really, and that's where that's offered a bit more spin than where the TaylorMade did, which is why I put it on. It's a Titleist T200 head. It's half a degree weaker than where the TaylorMade head is. And just as a profile, it offers a little bit more spin comparatively. So that's why I wanted to throw it onto that shaft. It was interesting, probably would like to put the Tour V into that head for you, actually. I mean, I think you're a good enough golfer, or, you know, in terms of where you want your golfing to go, you could play that as a head.
Is that, that's not a blade, is it?
Not a blade, no. It's part of this new wave we've got where they're effectively, they're hollow heads and then they're either filled like the P790 is, or they've got sort of construction in there, which effectively, so they're not your normal sort of cavity-backed iron, perimeter-weighted iron that we've had over the past.
I mean, if I can hit my 685 yards, I'd be pretty happy with that.
So I mean, yeah, if I throw those into the optimizer, it's where you should be based on that club head speed there of 88 miles an hour. So all you're doing is really getting it out, what you should be getting out of the golf club, you know. But because we're now controlling that spin, you're able to get there at 6,300 spin. There's no way we could have got there before. We wouldn't have had enough ball speed, and the flight would have been way too high. So I'm going to get this to D2 again, which is where I got it last time, which is really nice. See what you think of this one. Between the heads, in terms of from a confidence perspective, between the Titleist and the TaylorMade.
Confidence-wise, I know it sounds really, really weird, but it's a golf club. Like, as in, it's confidence-wise,
It's not influencing you in that way per se.
No.
Yeah. Okay.
It's more just, you know, get over and hit the ball.
You feel like you could get used to it, and with time.
But it's like anything, it always takes a bit of time to get used to certain.
Yeah. This is the Tour V 110 again at D2. That was very nice.
Push that a little bit, I think.
That's your best ball speed of the day.
Pushed it.
You've lost it slightly right, but really well hit. You definitely seem to pick up a little bit of speed with this shaft being a bit lighter. That was 89.6 there.
That felt nice.
Good swing. Yeah, really good number there. Great again, Carl. Good swing.
Slight ball, I think I went too quick on it. That felt good.
Yeah, good again, Carl. Again, really good dispersion. I know there's one slightly left there, one slightly right there, but that main nucleus of shots there, really nice again.
That's slice, that's just rubbish. Forget that one.
Yeah. Yeah, so I was sort of chatting to you as you were getting lined up there, but
yeah.
Again, you know, we can live with this one here. You're a handicap golfer. We can live with that, live with that. They're just swings.
Yeah.
But when you're putting your best swings on it, again, that's in a nice area.
Around there.
It's interesting. We're starting to get up now to that sort of 180 as an average sort of distance now that you're sort of starting to get used to the weights. And whenever I put that 110 in your hands, you definitely find a little bit more club head speed with it, so a bit more distance as well. But the spin number's still in a pretty good area for it. Yeah, I feel everything is telling me to go in the middle of both of the shafts at the moment. I think I want to go something which is 115 and the balance points between where the dynamic gold is and the Torvey. That's kind of what it's telling me. So let me try and pick something for you. Yeah, he's up there, isn't he? Well, again, that's because of the reaction of, you know, until you put the shaft in somebody's hand, which is a bit lighter and it swings better. Like I say to everybody, you know, when people come in for driver fits, is there's no such thing as a quick head or a quick shaft on the rack. There's just the correct setup. Because the main component of speed in the equation is the golfer, right? So, you know, if I put something in the hands which just swings better, then you feel more confident, you start ripping on it, and then all of a sudden, all the numbers go
up. Well, yeah,
I mean, speed, ball speed, everything goes, you know.
And now technology now has moved on in the last decade, so that's why, hence, I think I need a new set.
Yeah, I think you can see now it's starting to be clear and in the way that they swing and feel for you, you know. Not to mention the fact that obviously you've had a few, you know, they've had a few running injuries, so to speak, so
they definitely need
replacing. Need updating. Okay, that could be, oh, wrong one. Mistake.
It's a great warm-up for my round later as well.
Okay, playing this afternoon, are you?
Playing this afternoon,
yeah. Where are you playing at this afternoon?
Just at Fulwell.
Okay, great.
That's where I remember.
Looks like a nice day for it.
Yeah.
I think
it's better than yesterday.
Well, better than tomorrow from all accounts.
Oh, I'm hoping it's going to be dry tomorrow. I don't really want to referee in the rain.
Yeah,
I'm not a big fan of that. I'm sure the players...
All right, I've got Nippon here, NS Pro 115S.
Oh, that felt good. Yeah.
Nice start. Well done. Be good direction either.
Didn't quite come out of the sweet spot.
So that's just a case of sometimes what can happen is when you go too far away, you have to moving into it. But I think just give yourself about half the ball further away. Just swing line to the inside.
You'll take any 3 of those, Carl?
I would take any of those 3.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. If that's your miss right now, we're happy.
And that
sounded
came out of the
fantastic.
sweeps.
Yeah,
Don't know if it pulled slightly, but there we go.
yeah,
Hit one more.
beautiful. Lovely. Now I know the dispersion on those is going to look slightly bigger than some of the earlier ones, but on the flip side, the reason the dispersion is ever so slightly bigger is because you've got 2 there, which are just absolutely perfect hits. I mean, as a set of numbers, that one just there, I can't really, you know, the idea for me as a fitter is to get everything into that blue section there, you know. That shows me that I'm doing my job right, and that's as close as we've been all day.
Definitely.
Ball speed, launch, spin, peak height, pretty much bang on there. Middled, you obviously enjoyed the sensation of the strike as well.
Yeah, you could feel it when I hit it well. Like,
Yeah.
I think it was those 2. I went. They've come out the middle.
Yeah, and that's what makes the dispersion circle ever so slightly bigger. But I mean, that's only because we're hitting pretty much perfect golf shots here. That one there was less than perfect, but that's now flying 171. You know, that's where our best shots were previously. 177 and then a 178. So I really like the way that one swung for you and timed for you. So it's bang in between the 2 shafts that we've tried so far as a base weight and as a balance. So it kind of made sense because there was elements of both of those shafts I liked, but there was something that just looked at maybe a little bit too tip heavy, and that one just looked a little bit maybe just like down the bottom end. So I wanted to just go right down the middle, which is what we've done there with the weight. And yeah, I love that set of results there. And numbers wise, have a look at the table. Club head speed's stabilised now at about 88 miles an hour, so we've picked up some RPMs, which is great. 122, 138 on the smash. Yeah, again, some people might say, well, again, the Tour V looks like it's almost outperformed it.
You've got that half, haven't you, on the club path, face to path, it's like half-ish.
Yeah, I just preferred the way that NS Pro, again, visually moved for you. The numbers are saying one thing, but I'm watching how it's moving for you, and that's kind of what I'm tapping into. And again, it just looked like everything was arriving at the right time. There was one slight misstrike in there as well, which will influence the numbers. But if I was to take that out, for example, then all of a sudden the numbers are as good as anything else.
And you're always going to get a misstrike.
Yeah.
You can definitely feel when it hits, when you hit it out of the middle, definitely. And that's 182, is that carry?
That's carry.
I mean, Jesus.
Yeah, 180,
That's adding
180.
almost 15 to 20 yards.
That's where we were. So
what was that where we were? We're
153.
Exactly. 20 yards. It's 20 yards.
And it's those slight mishits that are killing your game right now, quite
yeah.
honestly, you know. Whereas, as I say, that one that you hit, which we hit 171, which was that one there.
Still not the worst in the world. Still 15 yards.
Exactly, it's absolutely perfect. So, and it's closer to our best strike. So these were absolutely, couldn't hit them any better. And it's only 10 yards, 11 yards in it now between the worst one that you've hit and your absolute best one out the middle. So, yeah, I like the concept of that. I like where the weight is. I like where the balance of that is. Yeah, and there's positives to all 3 shafts, but the NS Pro there, that 115, it makes sense that,
no,
you know,
I
thought
agree.
we might go down the route of Dynamic Gold 120, but having watched it, it did look like it could get a little bit heavy down the bottom end for you and you would flip it. So the dispersion that we hit with, there was a couple that we hit left here, which were the ones that concerned me a little bit. It just looked like it was a bit stuck and you'd flip it. We didn't have any of that with the NS Pro, which is just a slightly lighter base weight.
I'm amazed at like the white circle compared to every other one.
Yeah, yeah. So if I, let me get rid of this.
Crazy.
And that's with the Titleist head, which is technically a little bit more compact than the others. I mean, it'd be interesting to see how that shaft swings with the going back onto the TaylorMade head, which is, I would say, a little bit more forgiving, but that's sort of where we are. So that was the one that you've technically mishit there at 171.
Yeah.
And then these are the ones that you couldn't have asked for any more, basically. But even still, I mean, we're talking about a 10-yard green there, which is the width for these 2 bays.
Yeah.
We're looking at birdie putts, right?
Yeah.
And then distance-wise, yeah, I mean, everything that we want there. So let me throw that back into the TaylorMade head for you, just to see. That was a good game, that last game that you reffed then at the World Cup.
Oh, well,
I watched
the
that,
guy,
I enjoyed that.
Yakko came off after 15 minutes.
Yeah.
And I'm like, go on, get on.
Yeah.
You're always like, Jesus. And then like, as soon as you, again, like this, as soon as you get into it and you run, you forget, it's just a game of rugby.
Yeah.
Which is nice.
Yeah.
But it's lucky that I mean, I was fortunate that we were involved in the semis.
Yeah.
And the final. So it's just nice.
Yeah.
It's nice.
That's that TaylorMade head again for you. Oh, no, not piece. Put that one in. All right, see how we go.
Oh, that's a pull. That's a pull. That's a.
Hasn't quite timed as well, that combo
No,
yet.
you could feel the contact. That was the contact.
Yeah. Yeah, that was nice.
That was the contact.
Good set of numbers there. Yeah. That was good.
Slide.
How's that feeling compared to the Titleist head? Carl, going back into it?
I'd say much of a muchness, I think.
Okay.
That felt good. Do one more. That was nice. I felt that felt.
Okay. Yeah. Again, we threw a couple of funky ones in there early, which were just
they were just
almost
poor
like the
strikes.
first three. It was 3 or 4. That one there. But then once you kind of got into your rhythm a little bit more, started to see that one. That one there was a slight pull, but other than that, these last 4 were good swings here. Yeah, I wouldn't say between the two heads, I wouldn't say there's one that's, slightly more forgiving, the P790, I would say, than where the T200 is, but they've done a really good job on that Titleist T200 this year. It's not necessarily, there's a vast difference between the two where it doesn't sound like you're necessarily picking up on anything that's saying, okay, it has to be that head over that head, Nick. So that's quite interesting. So let me throw something else onto that shaft for you just to see. Again, when you put your best swings on it, data, really good, 1.37. Again, if we look at that one there, it's giving me everything I need. Numbers are just in a really nice area now.
And again, it's a difference of like 10 yards, which is, apart from a miss it, which is just a miss it.
Yep. Just going to get the other heavier head in the Mizuno.
I'm fine, thank you.
So where are you refereeing this weekend?
I'm at Leicester. Got
Okay.
Leicester, Northampton tomorrow.
Yeah. Big game.
Yeah, all derbies are always fun.
Yeah.
Yeah, they're always fun.
Okay, this is a Mizuno head. This is the Hot Metal Pro.
Come back.
Geez, that was hammered.
Yeah.
If
It
anything,
felt
maybe
like it came.
maybe a fraction low spin there because you really squared it up. But I mean, what a hit!
Can feel like it's coming out
Wow.
a lot.
It's a powerful head. This it is a powerful head. This Mizuno Hot Metal Pro.
And visually, it looks.
Again, maybe a fraction too low spin on that one, but what a ball speed. I said that peak height 96, not bad.
Oh, that was a miss it. Miss it.
Be interesting to see how that one performs for you. 169. What were you going to say about the club head on that one, Carl?
Visually,
Yeah.
you can see like it feels like I'm going to hit it further.
Okay. Stronger in appearance, yeah?
Yeah. Yeah, that hit that. That came out of the middle, a slight pull. Yeah. One more.
Let's go one more with
Yeah,
that.
that's what I was gonna say.
Wow, it's such a strong performer for you. Yeah, so I mean, you know, two slight miss hits there, which I was interested to see, but I mean that one there, which was we
when I said I hit-
really got away with it.
Yeah, I
still
missed
went-
it. I said, you know, that's a miss it.
Still went 170 though.
Yeah.
So
I'll
got
take
away
that.
with it absolutely, and then you got your 178
Jesus.
there. But for sort of like take out those two ones in the middle, then we start looking at sort of that there, which interestingly a little bit left of dispersion.
Yeah.
Now you know you're speaking of getting that sort of draw shape. I know that wasn't. These are technically slight pulls,
pulls.
but they're strong flights. You know. If anything, spin throughout the set here a little bit on the low side. That'll probably be my only criticism of it. We've gone 500 RPMs, maybe too far the other way now. But that would just be an adjustment of loft, you know. I could just knock 1 degree more loft onto it and we'd find a little bit more spin again. But best ball speed of the day there as an average 125, and there's your smash factor, which is obviously very strong. Now averaging 188 with that as a setup there. So definitely starting to get a bit more out of the golf club that you should be getting. Again, a little bit low on the spin there. That one there, a little bit more fade, so kick the spin up, and that's in a really nice area. But we're just getting what we deserve now, you know, again, based on the club head speed.
Yeah.
I know you've warmed up and we're into it now, but that's really how far you should be hitting it, that's that's what you're getting out of it. And a couple of these are going to be lower spin again because we've just turned them over.
Yeah.
Strike point was ever so slightly a bit high on the head as well. But yeah, how did that feel compared to?
It felt like when I hit it,
Yeah.
I knew that it had gone.
Yeah.
Visually, again, I don't know why, but psychologically you look at it and go, this is gonna.
It is slightly bigger, so it's probably going to bring a bit more confidence to you as well. It is slightly bigger than the 790 and the T200, which is smaller again.
Yeah.
What we've hit so far. So I wanted to see you in the slightly smaller head just to see how you felt about them.
Yeah, I don't understand. Again, it's not that it's not a good thing. I don't mind. Like, just visually looks different.
Yeah.
It's no different in terms of psychologically.
Yeah, sure.
It's the same.
Yeah.
But you could, I don't know, you just look down and go, that's thicker, so it must hit it further.
Yeah, sure, yeah. I mean, you did as well. It's a very, very powerful head. So, okay, so that's one there. Let me throw something else on for you. Again, happy with how the shaft's moving
Yeah,
there now.
no, really happy.
It's in a nice middle ground for
Yeah,
you.
I
And
think
what I
so.
mean by that, again, just to explain myself, is I think with the 120, the DG 120, I think when you're on your game and you're hitting it hard, it would be a good shaft for you. But my only risk about fitting people for shafts like that is if you want to hit half shots or softer shots, it becomes a bit more hard work. And I think that the balance of that shaft just looked a little bit on the heavy side for you. On the flip side, I thought the 110 looked a little bit light when you were going full bore with it.
Yeah.
So when you were getting up to sort of 88, 89, 110 started to look a little bit on the light side.
Okay.
So that's why I think the 115 in the middle is going to be nice. And that balance is not quite as heavy balanced as the DG. So it allows you to play the softer shots. It will allow you to play the firmer shots. It can handle both ends of the spectrum.
Yeah, no,
Whereas I
sense.
think these two this would have been great when you were slightly slower at sort of 86. And this one would have been really good when you're full bore at 89. But then if you have to hit that half shot or knockdown shot, it's not going to play quite as well for you. So that was kind of my thought process there.
Yeah,
Carl.
no, that makes sense.
So this is one of the Cobra, the Forged Tech.
Okay, yeah. Bit of Puma.
Yeah.
That's what my wedges are. That couple of
Yes,
my
the
wedges.
Cobras, yes. Yeah,
I used to
yeah.
have them like 20 years
Trusty
ago.
Rusties, yeah. They used to have a great history of the Trusty Rusties. They were out all the way back in the 90s and very popular. Some of the best guys in the world used to play them.
Okay.
They sort of brought them back a few years ago.
Yeah.
They sort of brought them back. But yeah, I'm going back to sort of David Duval and Greg Norman, and there's some fantastic players over the years who used to play them. Mark Woodward, another one of those.
I don't recognise that name. Don't recognise that name, somehow.
There you go. Woody, one of our fitters, he had a set of those. So, okay, so this is the Cobra Forged Tech.
I'll put it lower aloft and or head it will bring that spin down a little bit. Get you north of 13 or 14.
It's a nice start. A little bit higher in flight, interestingly, but sounded good, Carl.
Yes, how it came out. I think slightly right, but it's fine. Not too much. That was a miss hit. That was a miss hit.
So being in this side down, we're in
That was out the middle.
Yeah, good swing again there, Carl.
Oh, didn't think that was a pull.
Yeah, slight pull. Okay, then. What are your thoughts on that head, Carl?
Yeah, again, feels good. Nothing sort of. Again, it's really hard to sort of say this is this, this is that, because it's like, I guess, I know it probably sounds a little bit generic. It's the head's a head.
Okay. Yeah. No, well, look,
like-
everybody looks at them slightly differently, you know. So I get some guys in the bay. Visuals and how they feel and how they sound is a huge part of it for them.
Yeah.
And I get guys in the bay like yourself where it's a bit like, look, I'm more bothered about performance and whatever it is, I'll get used to it, you know, feel-wise, and I'll get used to it. So you get both ends of the spectrum, really.
Oh, that's a massive pull. We'll forget that one. We'll do one more.
It probably, I mean, it's performed nicely, but it probably, for me, it hasn't been as strong or as consistent as the Mizuno has, for example. I'll let you have a breather. We've hit a few shots there with that
Yeah,
one. But these were the ones that I was kind of looking at, and again, nice set of numbers here. Slightly down where we want to be. Again, that was a nice strike, a little bit down. Interestingly, the launch seemed to be a little bit higher out of the head on that particular model for you.
Yeah.
Again,
Yeah, you can see launch
consistently a
angle.
little bit high, and again, I don't want to sort of bring that back down to sort of 16, 17 is a max ideally for you, to be honest with you. So we were getting a little bit more of that out of these heads, I would say. So thank you. Put them in that pile there. I'm going to grab a couple of others to try really quickly. This is a Callaway head,
Okay.
part of the Apex series.
So the shafts are just, I guess, you wouldn't get like a, it's going to sound very kind of stupid, a Callaway shaft, where it's all like separate, kind of, obviously.
Yeah, we tend to have separate manufacturers. So you've got companies like Nippon, who are Japanese steel companies.
Yeah.
So these guys specialise in steel or graphites in particular.
Yeah.
And that's where all their R&D and their technology goes in there.
Okay.
Then they work in collaboration with the manufacturers.
Yeah.
So what will typically happen is, if you were to buy a club off the shelf, for example, there's been a shaft which has been matched to that
To the
head.
head, yeah, rather than.
You know, and that's fine. But then when you start to move away from that head with particular heads, that's where you can start to get some funky numbers, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
the
no, it
manufacturers
makes sense.
generally do a really good job of matching a shaft to a head, but then that's not necessarily matched to the golfer and their dynamics, and
that makes
everybody
sense.
puts slightly different torques on the golf club.
Yeah.
So depending on, again, club head speed, dynamics, etc., you've really got to treat them both as separate entities,
Yeah.
and you've got to find, for us, we put a lot of emphasis on the shaft, as you can see, first of all, in terms of the way it times and the playability of it. And then we try and match the head in with that based on getting the numbers right, so loft, centre of gravity, but also, you know, the opinion of the golfer as well, because the numbers are one thing, but you've got to go out and play golf with it.
You got to
So
feel comfortable.
you've got to feel comfortable
Yeah,
with it.
that makes
absolutely.
sense.
But we're in the general area here from a loft and a sort of visual perspective. There's not masses between all of these.
Oh.
Good hit.
It's better. It's a better strike. It's a better shape.
That was nice, yeah. Good.
It's within a couple of because with the other shop I had to use a bit of away.
Felt nice. Don't know where it's gone. Oh, miss it.
Right, drop him out.
Take that one out here.
He's just not conducive. I still feel like the combination we've hit the most consistently and with the most impressive numbers have been that Mizuno Pro
Yeah.
setup, you know.
Too quick, but it connected right. I'll do two more, just 'cause take that was a big pull. That felt nice.
That was a good strike. Getting a little bit more of a pull shape out of this head though, and line angle here is a little bit more upright.
Felt good. Slight, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, but a bit of a mixture there. Dispersion a little bit more left. There's a little bit more offset on this head compared to some of the others that we've hit as well. And the tendency looks like it would be to pull it a little bit more. Again, I still probably preferred where we were with the Mizuno Pro, I think, just based on how that shaft swung on that. So how that head swung on that shaft for you. A bit of the feedback that you gave me about the head as well. It just sounded like you felt like you could
when you hit it, you're like,
powerfully,
yeah, I get it.
Yeah. It also, from a sizing perspective, in terms of top line and the weighting of it, it's a little bit more forgiving than, let's say, the Titleist T200. Probably on a par with where the 790 is, and this would probably be in and around that area as well. But it's just a little bit more forgiving as well, Carl. So I think it's going to be one of those ones where it doesn't punish you quite so much on the miss hit, the Mizuno. I had that sort of impression about potentially the Apex, but I wasn't mad about how that swung on this particular shaft for you.
And I could feel like again, the last three are probably the ones where I felt the ball came out nice, even though it's slightly left.
Yeah.
It came out nice on that.
Yeah, the numbers are still strong on it, so the shaft's still performing nicely, but definitely a little bit more of a left tendency with that particular head for you. Yeah. For you. So if I go back in, so I would still be moving towards, I think, didn't feel like the Cobra gave us enough to sort of really put it into the equation. I'll take him out. The Apex left tendency ruins it a little bit for me. And then it leaves basically those three there. So let me get rid of yours because you know how yours performs. Let me have a little look. So then these are the three that we've hit so far. So you can see the Mizuno is the longest of the three. If anything, to give you a little bit more spin, I might just dial the loft back a little bit if we went with that head. You've got the T200 with the NS Pro shaft there, which is a Titleist head in the red, which performed nicely for you. And then you've got the P790 in the green, which was, I mean, surprisingly actually not as long as the others. Still good, we've still hit the green with all those shots. Yeah. But I think if I want to give you the combination of the length, the forgiveness, and still the feel, I'd still say probably the Mizuno on that shaft seems to have performed for me, seems to perform the best. Now I know we hit a series of shots at the start where the dispersion was tighter, but then what we've then added since then is you've really started to get those numbers optimised in terms of ball speed as well. So those numbers were sort of in this area here. They were nice and tight, but now we've added in these strikes as well, where we're getting our ultimately we're getting our average ball speed to 125 miles an hour,
which is obviously a lot. 5 miles an hour more. Yeah.
5 miles more than the P790 based on those strikes, and 3 miles an hour better than probably the T200, which would come second. But I still think that's been the one combination of the way it swung on that shaft for you, what we know about that head and how it plays. That's probably been the best setup for me, and I would just want to add a degree of loft back in there again, just to try and get the spin and launch back in there. So I'll show you what I mean by that. You played any Mizuno product in the past at all?
I've never played, but again, like, I've never really looked at golf clubs. I mean, the only thing I've really ever bought is my driver, because the other one, I've still got a Cobra 3-wood. Yeah. So.
Yeah. So it is the strongest of the lofts that we've also tried today at 25, and that's what I mean. I would knock a degree of loft back onto it. So everything else.
26.
I'd have it at 26.
20, 23, 26. 29.
Yeah, would be better for you. So because the Titleist was that we tried, so this is 26.5. Yeah. 27. So this is definitely the strongest. So hence the distance gain on it. But I think to give you that forgiveness, distance, everything that's combined in that head, if I knock that back to 26, I think we get the best of all worlds then. And I think it probably swung, for me, it swung the best on that shaft for you. So I was kind of happiest with that, I think.
And what would be price-wise? What would we be looking at? Again, would you go 4 to pitching wedge, 4 to sand wedge?
Well, I think you're definitely good enough to play, and you've got enough flight and ball speed there to play a 4-iron.
Yeah, well, that 4-iron's, I think, pretty much the same as my 3. Yeah, well, that's 20.5, so it's less than my 3.
I mean, I would probably, I think I would go for to pitch for yourself, definitely. And then we're going to have a little look at some wedges now. And then from there upwards, I mean, you'd probably have to test it against your hybrids and see, and maybe you need them to go again, because obviously we've found another gear,
almost
right?
get some irons, figure out where I'm at, and then do drivers and stuff. It was more of like full set. I just wanted to get the irons done now, because the driver's a little bit more modern. So
but based on your speed and your flight, you can definitely play a 4-iron. I've got no reservations about that. So I would probably go 4 to pitch for you, and then we'll sort out some wedges down at the bottom, basically.
Perfect.
So what we'll do is we'll work on the wedges, and then we'll just hit a couple at the end just to give you a bit of a rest now, but we'll hit a couple just to test lie angle. But lie angle on that at the moment is at 61, which is a little bit flatter. But we'll just check that out shortly. But let's have a little conversation about wedges, basically. So you can see here, so with the extra degree, you're going to be at 43.5, which is pretty strong for pitching wedge. So I think we're going to need to put a gap wedge in there.
Definitely.
And then you've got the ability there then to play another 2 wedges if you want. So
because my gap is 49.
Yeah.
And then obviously my sand is 56, I think.
Yeah.
Is it 56? I think something like that. So yeah, I definitely need something in there.
This one's obviously 60, isn't it?
Yeah, that's just I only use that for bunker and throwing shove stuff in there.
But just give you the ability to play 3 wedges below that, so a gap wedge, sort of a modern day sand wedge around 54, and then potentially a lob wedge, depending on how comfortable you play with that. So you could go 48, 52, 56, or if you want more loft, because obviously you've got a 60 in the bag already, you could go into a 50, 54, 58, which would be more of a traditional sort of gap.
Because that gap is 49, that hits, it's about a 110-ish.
Yeah.
Around there.
Yeah.
If it was, so that's 49, so yeah, probably a 48. Because with that 42, 3.5 would be what, almost, 9-iron? That is in 9-iron for that.
The what, sorry?
So if that went to 43.5, that would almost be my old school 9-iron.
So based on the lofts, it would be between. It would be. So obviously they're a little bit stronger here. Yeah. And what we might actually find is when you come back in, if you were to come down and collect the clubs because you're fairly local, we might almost get you to hit a couple just to see exactly where the gap needs to be. To be honest with you, because these can all be tweaked. So I'm working off the top of my head, but actually when you see the club swing as a built unit, sometimes we might find actually go to 44 with a pitching edge might be, because we want it to just fit a gap, right? So, but I would say 43.5. The next loft up from that, I probably want to go. I would say if we went to sort of 50, 54, 58, that would be quite a nice combo for you. Okay. A little less loft than the 60 at the top end. Got the 54, which would be quite a nice sort of. That'll be your utility wedge, so to speak, and then you've got the 50 there, which is effectively the gap wedge, just bridging the gap quite nicely, and we could always bump that to 49 for you. So let me put something together based on the shaft and where we are with the headwise. How is your chipping and pitching?
My chipping's all right. Pitching, what I struggle with just purely because I'm more of almost a back foot, and I just fly it in there. Probably I struggle, not struggle because that's not the right word, but I know I can definitely improve is around that 50 to sort of 50 to 100 range. 100, fine, because I can just hit my, whatever that is, my sand wedges is around 100. But probably 50 to 80 is, I know it's a lot of feel and stuff like that. But I have such an unconventional swing, like when people are like, do this and do that, it just doesn't work for me. So
you want to work off feel a little bit more.
I'm more of a feel. So I kind of, if I'm honest, I just make it up as I go.
Sure.
Pitch-wise.
Yeah. Okay, well, I've got 2 different brands here. I've got some Vokeys for you, and I've also got some of the new Mizuno heads here to match in with what we've done with the irons. And then I've got some slightly different lofts here as well. So I've got, switch those over. But I think it's worth hitting the 50, comparing that to the 48, this would be the stronger lofted version in the gap wedge. And then we've got, these are the different lofts that I think potentially we could go with. You could go with 48, 52, 56, which would be on the stronger side of loft. And then you've got 50, 54, 58. So obviously there's a little bit more of a gap then between the pitching wedge and the gap wedge if you go for the 50. It closes up a little bit if you go for the 48. But then that would probably mean top loft option. either 58 or 56, but I've gone for 56 to keep the gapping between them the same. So let me put the 50 in straight away. Shaft-wise, I've gone with the Modus Wedge 115.
Okay.
So this is about 122 grams, so it matches in balances quite nicely with where you are. Typically with your wedge shaft, you want to go a little bit heavier.
Yep.
And we're going to just hit off the front mat here, so I'm just going to lift the
Yeah, it's probably a wise move.
forwards. Just going to update this target for you, Carl, very quickly.
Well, I can see where it came out of the club, so that's a good thing.
Yeah, these are literally brand new. These are our new demos. So if you just come a little bit more in line between the line and the track man, that's perfect there, Carl. Yeah, thank you. How does that club head feel and
Feels
look
good,
for you?
yeah. You can feel like both those shots, I felt I hit the ball. I mean, you can see it on the club.
Yeah. So this is a forged club head, so it's similar to the feel that you'll get out of your irons, the new iron set.
That wasn't great. Didn't hit down on that.
Very nice.
Normal shape though, which is nice.
Mm-hmm.
That felt good, came out.
Yeah, so I mean, shaft weight and balance, very
feels
similar
good.
to what we've done in the irons there, so that will suit you. It's a little bit softer in the tip section than the wedge shaft. Yeah, they're pretty good. But yeah, that'd be the 50. I mean, it's not going to be like for like in terms of the distance, just because this shaft's marginally short of what I would actually build for you in the end. But just to give you an impression and to see that shaft and that head swing together, and it looks really nice. Mizuno head's absolutely fantastic.
It's pretty consistent.
Yeah, lovely dispersion in there. Let me just get rid of these other ones. So. Yeah, fantastic. So time's really nicely for you. So that'd be the 50. Let me put on the Voki, which would be the 48. So I would expect a little bit of a jump in distance here because of the. But what I'm looking for mainly here is just your feedback on how it feels comparatively, to be honest with you. I say the distances aren't going to be exactly spot on to what we want to see because this shaft's a little bit light comparatively.
I didn't hit that very well.
How's that head feel compared to the Mizuno?
If I'm honest, not.
No.
Again, not
preference.
Too sort of dissimilar.
Yeah.
That was a better strike.
Yeah, so actually there's not, I mean, it's probably half a club difference in the couple of degrees on the head, but there's not a huge amount in there. But really it's just whether there was anything you were feeling there Carl,
No,
comparatively between the heads? Because this is actually a cast head versus a forged head in the Mizuno.
I mean, distance-wise, I was only a little bit more.
Yeah, pretty comparable.
Yeah.
Just take out the 6 irons. So I'm just looking at the wedges.
Yeah.
Not much in
The
it really.
green one was the
Was the Titleist one you've
Yeah.
got in your hands there. Pretty comparable with both of
pretty
them.
much of a muchness, isn't it?
Yeah, but not picking up on anything feel-wise
No,
between them
nothing really,
really.
no.
Yeah, no preference in terms of the visuals of the head, how it
No,
looks.
no, they're both kind of similar in what I was looking down. So.
Yeah. Okay. Well, if we were looking to stay in one brand, then we would go down the Mizuno
Yeah.
route, you know, and then we're trying to keep the feel and the continuity in it. So if we moved forwards with that, if you've got no preference between the two,
No
Carl, to be
real.
honest with you, then we can do that. And they've got a similar sort of blend of combination of loft and grind in the Mizuno and the Titleist. And most manufacturers do now. You can kind of almost combine most of the grinds in them, to be completely honest with you. You can find sort of a fuller sole or more of a C grind or a tall grind within the manufacturers. But for you, I think because you're ever so slightly steeper in terms of the angle of attack, I think bounce is going to be your friend. Also across the UK, the different conditions that we play in, a little bit more bounce is never a bad thing here in the UK. Unless you play down on the south coast, something where it's typically a little bit firmer and you need a little less bounce to be able to manipulate it around the greens. But so I like to give a combination. The way I like to sort of fit wedges is a bit more bounce in the mid wedge, slightly fuller sole in the mid wedge. That gives us the opportunity to play it square and open it up if you want it. And then I always think in the lob wedges, it's nice to have something where it has a little bit more what we call grinding to it. So grinding is basically the shape of the sole on the bottom. Bounce is effectively where the peak is here and how much sort of interaction you're going to get from the sole onto the turf. And you know, the bottom of the soles on wedges they're skid pans, right? So they're designed to try and move through debris. As a rule, more bounce you've got, the easier it will work through turf, sand, dirt, etc., etc. Less bounce, it will move quicker, effectively. So as I say, if you're playing on sort of firmer conditions all the time, you want a little less bounce, or if you're shallower, you want a little less bounce. If you're typically steeper, or if you're playing on softer conditions, and I mean, we have a whole mixture here in the UK, you want a bit more.
That makes sense, perfect sense.
Basically, so I like to fit a combination. I don't like to fit high bounce or low bounce across the wedge set. I like to have a bit of a combination. So in the winter, you might find your default back to sort of your 54, your 52, 54 a bit more, and then in the summer you might default back to this one a little bit more around the greens, depending on the lie conditions. So if we're looking at the Mizuno, let me show you the different combinations that we've got.
What's my sandwich?
Grinds.
How do we get it out? Do we get it out? What degree is that? Can't remember what that one was.
I can measure that up to get the exact one on it, but typically the wedge sets they come out about 56.
Okay, I thought it might have been about 56.
Typically, sometimes they're a little bit stronger, but let's just have a little measure up of them. So obviously in your comment you got 49. This
49.
I anticipate being 56 and then a 60. Yeah, 56.
Perfect. I thought it was.
Different grinds that we've got available. So this explains the different shapes that they've got here. S is sort of more just the back ribbon is relieved here. So this is great for guys who like to play with a neutral face, who do occasionally like to open up, and it plays really well across different conditions. Then you've got your D grind, which is similar, but it's got a little bit more bounce in it. That's your X grind, which is the lowest bounce of it and the most aggressive. I would probably say more for the accomplished short game specialist or the guy who's playing on sort of much firmer conditions more often than not. And then you've also got this one here, which is called the V profile, which is a new one, which is a higher bounce, more aggressive. So that's quite an interesting one. But again, bounce is quite far forward. So we're going to test exactly which part of the bounce you interact with. But I anticipate, to be honest with you, you're probably going to be closer to just maybe like the S and the D for you.
Yeah, that makes sense.
So this is basically what we've got. So you've got a couple of close ones. So if you did want to go closer towards the 48, we could still do a 48 for you. And I think based on how strong the performance of the pitching wedge was, I'm probably moving towards a 48.
That's what I mean, 48, 52, 56 would probably be.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, how do you feel about the top end in terms of the top loft in your bag? How does that?
So that's fine at 43. I think having that 5 degrees, just to give me something between that 6 degrees, a lot. It's
Yeah.
almost a club.
Yeah,
So, and again, I like to hit full clubs like I'm sure everyone does.
yeah,
So 48, 52, 56,
yeah.
probably where I am.
So you got that 60 at the moment, but how often?
Very rarely use it.
Very rarely.
I'm talking.
So you default back to your sand wedge at 56, yeah?
I'm talking. I'd only use that literally if I'm trying to throw it so far up in the air and it's a. Yes, I never use it once.
Yeah, sure. Okay. Yeah. So you typically go back to your 56. Yeah. Okay. So that tells me that we could probably default back to 56 as a loft for you, and just give you something which has got a bit more grind to it, so actually you can manipulate it a little bit more. So, at which point then we'd be looking at, in the gap wedges they've got that 52. It tends to be a slightly fuller sole, so it's going to be almost that sort of shape to it.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, like an S grind a little bit, and then I do like the idea of the D grind in the top wedge for you. So I'll show you what that looks like. So you've got there 56. There's the D, so it would give you 56.10, which is nice and moderate. You know, it's really in the really middle ground. That 10 degrees is you've got the equivalent to that is sort of an S grind in the Vokey, which is a similar sort of 10 degrees in it. So let me just see if I've got one to show you. So what I'll do is I'll get you to hit this for me. I'll show you what I mean here. I think it's nice to keep continuity in brand up and down. It's not necessary because we, sometimes we
just, I find it easy as well. I prefer to do it.
Yeah. But I think because you've gone into a forged head and then going into this grain flow forged wedge, I think you'll find that quite nice. A bit more weight, quite right. So I'll get you to hit just a couple with this, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to sticker the sole up. I'm going to get you to hit some off the board, and I'm going to show you exactly which part of the grind you're interacting with as well, and I'll explain what that means basically, and if we do need to move away from the D grind, where we can go with it. What do you tend to chip and pitch with mostly at the moment?
I would say probably.
If you had a basic chip, side of the green, semi-rough.
I would literally just open up a sand wedge and just go.
Okay, so you would play the 56, yeah.
That's how I do it normally.
Yeah.
Just open up the face. Oh yeah. Like
and you feel quite comfortable manipulating face and opening it up.
Because I tend to push a little bit because that's my natural thing. So if I was doing it to there, I wouldn't close the club face. It just wouldn't. I wouldn't get it round.
No.
So I tend to open it just because it's easier.
Okay. Yeah, and you play.
Easier.
Okay. Yeah. Cool. Brilliant. All right.
So I do it.
So definitely something with a little bit of grind to you is going to be preferable. So what I'm going to get you to do is I'm going to scroll this up here. Nice, other one there. About 80 yards as well.
With the 56.
Yeah,
it's about.
It's quite a nice gap because it's still useful for fuller shot.
Yeah.
You know, my only thing when I'm recommending higher lofted wedges to amateurs is, I mean, 60 is quite one-dimensional.
I wouldn't hit a full shot with a 60 wedge.
No, but most people, even if they do, they can only probably hit it 65, maximum 70 yards. So at which point, it's not really a club you're going to be using for that situation. So it becomes quite one-dimensional around the greens. And actually, I find for most amateurs, 60 is a little bit too much loft, and they don't have as much control over it. It tends to come out too high, too soft. They're not getting to target enough. I'll give you that. So I actually prefer 58 as a maximum. Yeah. But actually, I've started to recommend a few more 56s, especially for people. If you start to open the blade up, then you really start to interact with the bounce a little bit more as well. I think 60s became popular because the tall guys had them, but the tall guys are playing in completely different conditions, and they're playing onto different different greens and surfaces, and they really need that height to be able to stop the ball. In the UK this time of year,
no, you're literally just trying to.
It's wet puddings, right? And actually, you want
Yeah.
a little bit more skip on it. So I just want you to play a whole series of shots you would normally play with your 56. So slightly fuller pitches and then some chips, and you're going to mark up the sole, and I'll show you what I'm talking about.
So I'll play a...
Nice. So it looks like you're just like massaging the club across the ball, and you look quite comfortable with that shot. You play it with quite nice rhythm and tempo.
That's all. I mean, that is like my kind of like how I would do it.
Yeah. Nice again. And then if you just play a couple of short ones for me, and then almost a couple of sort of bunker-like shots. I know it's not the exact situation, but just with the same face orientation you would play a flop shot or bunker shot with for me. Good. And then just a softer chip for me, please, Carl. Lovely. Looks like a good part of your game.
It's all right.
Yeah. All right. So
It's all right.
show you what we're talking about here. So what we're effectively looking for when we're looking at the bounce is we want this to actually be effectively interacting with the turf and helping us out, right? So if your mark was here, then obviously that bounce would be too far back, and etc. If your marking was back here, then that means the bounce would be almost a bit too far forward. So we want, as you're interacting with the bounce, we want it to be kicking in, and as you can see, it's pretty much bang on that peak there. If I sort of lift that sticker up, you can see that it's pretty much your marking is going to rest just on where the bounce is. So you're getting the most out of where that bounce is effectively. I don't need to move that any further forwards or any further back for you. So that D grind actually for you would be quite a nice,
Perfect, nice.
quite a nice area and quite a nice amount there. So yeah, I like the idea of that for you. So it would be 48, 52, 56.
Perfect.
Yeah, and it looks like you've got the ability to be able to open that up. And if for whatever reason, if you did down the road, if you did want more loft, we could always go into a 58 or a similar sort of situation. But I don't think you'd find yourself not able to play any shots with that. It sounds like you default to your 56 anyway.
Most of the time,
I like the idea of going 56 as a top loft there for you, to be honest with you. And 48 just to bridge that gap between the
two
new set.
Yeah, perfect.
And wedge shaft
Felt
wise.
good, yeah, felt good.
Yeah, really good. It's a wedge specific shaft, so it's a little bit softer in the tip section. I think that'll feel great for you as well.
Yeah.
It sits in the modus in the Nippon family, so it's a natural progression from what we've done with the NS Pros for you. So I like the idea of that standard length, and then there'll just be a progression of lie angle and length basically.
Oh, sounds good.
All right, so just to finish off, let's just hit a couple with the new setup just to test and identify lie angle, and then we'll just have a very quick chat about grips basically.
Got about 10 minutes and I need to be shooting, unfortunately.
No problem. We only need a couple of shots here. I actually think this is going to be pretty good for lie, but we'll test it. I won't move the trap man again because we don't need to. So that's the new setup that we've gone for. And we're just going to hit off this front mat again. And what I'm going to do, just line these balls up for you. And we're just going to hit a couple of shots. It's going to leave a chalk line on the face for you. We're just going to identify whether we've got the right lie angle for you. There we go.
Yeah, you felt it came out nicely. I know slightly gone the other way, but it felt nice.
Just have a quick look at that face for you. Pretty good.
You can feel it came out.
Well, you can see it was middled.
Yeah. Just my club face, again, it just sometimes comes open. That's the shape.
Same again, but you can see it's pretty much looking straight up and down the face.
Yeah.
So that's telling me actually where that angle there at 61 is actually in a good spot for you. So I'll be inclined to keep that.
It, yeah.
And then that just allows you to manipulate it. So actually, just based on technical change, you'll be able to manipulate face if you so wanted to. But what we're looking for there is when we do that test, we just want it to be running straight up and down the face in relation. That would mean we need to go more upright. That would mean we need to go flatter with low angle. So that's absolutely perfect for you.
Oh, happy days.
Which I thought it might be, but we've got to just test it. But the data first time around sort of suggested that it would be good.
And it went far enough, so it was happy days. It's always a bonus.
And then just looking at grip size and grip type now for you. What size glove do you wear?
Medium.
And how have these felt today? So that's just
good.
One layer of tape.
Yeah, no, it felt good.
Sizing doesn't look too bad actually in one layer. I'm just looking for that fingertips to just be touching that fleshy part of the palm. Doesn't look too bad.
No, it felt good.
Grip type-wise, let me bring a couple over. See, you've used the multi-compounds there. So we've been using the Golf Bride Tall Velvet 360 today, which is that one there, which is probably the most used grip on the market and the one that the manufacturers typically use for their stock grip. We've got some other options on here. So that's the multi-compound, which you've technically used on your link set. So the difference there, hybrid grip, cord in the top hand, softer rubber in the bottom hand. I guess they're aiming for the best of both worlds there in terms of a bit of grip security in the top hand. That's a Lambkin, it's called the Sonar Plus. A little bit of traction in there, softer in terms of feel and feedback typically. Again, just a rubber grip there. Something a bit different, got the CP2 Pro.
Oh, that sounds weird.
No, not that one.
Weird, yeah.
And then that's just your typical tall velvet again, just to go back into it. I think if you're looking to stay middle of the road in terms of, I would probably recommend, again, tall velvet 360. They do it in a white, all white, or they do it in a black as well, if you didn't want the white inlay. But
all white's fine with me.
All whites as well?
Yeah.
So basically what we've used today?
Yeah.
All right,
It
perfect.
always works well.
Great, thanks for coming down.
Really
nice to
appreciate
meet
it. You too.
Pleasure. Thanks for that, enjoyed the numbers there as well.
Oh, it's always nice when it looks a bit better.